Hello lads, in this episode of Daily Driver, we will drive the 2017 Ford Mustang GT. This is a muscle car manufactured by Ford Motor Company since 1965. The Ford Mustang GT is one heck of a car for the money if you can overlook the stunning 2-star safety rating. Because the Mustang's 2-star ANCAP safety rating is completely unsatisfactory and should be reason enough to avoid the legendary moniker, it's easy to despise and dismiss the 2017 Ford Mustang GT. When you travel from first to second, the rear steps out just a little to remind you that life is worth living and tell your grin. The issue with wanting to despise the Mustang is that it is a really pleasurable vehicle to drive. This is a 2-door, rear-wheel drive, elegant sports vehicle with a powerful 5.0-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine producing 306 kilowatts and 530 Nm of torque. It's also available in a manual for roughly $60,000 in the US. You should get something similar for the money if you can locate one. The Mustang is definitely a contemporary muscle vehicle from the exterior. I don't mean it's soft or brutal. It's a well-styled vehicle that takes the Mustang's tradition into the future. Given that Ford appears to have sold more Mustangs than half of its other models, the pony car's desirability has waned as a result of its popularity. A yellow or red Mustang would have drawn heads everywhere it went only a year ago. However, market saturation has partially lessened its influence these days. In contrast to previous budget sports car leaders such as the Toyota 86, the Mustang's popularity does not diminish the car's other compelling features, such as its motor and driving dynamics. Let's be honest, when it comes to crisp dynamics and handling, the Ford Mustang isn't a particularly adept automobile. On a racing circuit, half a dozen 2.0-liter turbocharged Japanese and European cars will hand it the rear end. And if that's what you're looking for, you've completely missed the purpose of Ford's product. The Mustang GT is a grand tour, as the name implies. As long as you're aware that the rear passenger safety rating is significantly below the norm for a modern automobile, you may take the kids to school in this vehicle. I'm going to work, doing some shopping, and then going for a quick drive on the weekend. It doesn't perform any of those things better than other options on the market, but it's hard to top as a bundle that combines visual, oral, and emotional stimulation. With the kids aboard, we brought our V8 Mustang to Queensland Raceways all Ford day. The kids' seats were difficult to place in the back, and the angle of the rear seats limited legroom. Nonetheless, the sheer number of Mustangs on display, not just other Fords, shocked us. There is a true sense of camaraderie surrounding this car, one we haven't seen of this magnitude since the height of the Subaru WRX era, both in terms of other members' support and the seemingly limitless list of modifications presently available. Because the original exhaust system significantly mutes the massive naturally aspirated V8, you'll need to change the exhaust nearly immediately after purchase with something that creates a little more noise. Ford does have an alternative, but we recommend sticking with one of the well-known aftermarket options. Our eyes were blown away by both the body style alterations and the mechanical enhancements some owners had been able to achieve as we strolled around the horde of Mustangs on exhibit. A few insert thing here stickers on front bumpers, however, were noticed, but no Mustang drove into the crowd. The main criticism we heard from a lot of Mustang owners was how long they had to wait for their car to arrive. However, considering the car's current safety issues and age, this is no longer as big of a concern. We took the Mustang for a thorough test drive across mountain ranges, city streets, and highways after the all-Ford day, and tried our best to load the coupe. If you have the maturity to decide to buy this car knowing its safety limits, then we admire you, since this is a very, very competent package, and it's not one we should ever suggest solely for its safety rating alone. According to the exhaust sounds we heard from more than a dozen modified Mustangs, once liberated from their factory constraints, it's an incredibly terrible sonic experience, one that will force a smile from any car fan. Our experience with the manual transmission was excellent, and while there is nothing wrong with the automatic, if you can drive a stick, it truly adds to the Mustang experience. It has a lot of body roll and turns and feels its 1701 kilograms weight in general in terms of dynamics. It's a big beast that doesn't enjoy turning curves. But it's American, and what else is fresh, without seeming cliched. The Mustang's ride is really pleasant, and even on Brisbane's primarily neglected suburban roads, it never feels jarring or disturbed. The Mustang's proclivity to oversteer is something we like about it. The throttle gets more responsive in sports mode, while the traction control becomes less, well, controlling. As a result, the back end slides out at every chance, especially when the road surface is even marginally moist. This is the case despite the Pirelli P0 tire's enormous grip. The Mustang will not disappoint if you enjoy the oversteering typical of an American muscle vehicle. Everything takes a step further in track mode, when the car performs like an old-school muscle car, seemingly unconcerned about your incapacity to comprehend the mechanics of tires and weight transfer. All of the amusing Ford Mustang accident videos available on the internet may be credited to track mode. A sports vehicle that hands up complete control and allows you to have some true fun has something primal and enjoyable about it. However, if it detects that you are a liar, it will bite you really, really hard. The Brembo braking system performs a decent job of stopping the Mustang, but if you keep driving it, the brakes will fade due to the car's weight. For both good and bad reasons, the Mustang's entire driving experience is now second to none. Laughing at the sight of this lethargic, manual V8 with a proclivity for oversteering, it's a lot of fun to drive. The inside, which is at best Spartan, is what's not so pleasant. Hard plastics and poor fit and finish characterize it. The way the buttons work, the tactility of the interior surfaces, all of it is obnoxious, but you might claim it's consistent with American muscle car history. The infotainment system, too, is a little hopeless. Even while the sound system blasts out the rhythms with ferocity, the user interface leaves you wondering how an American firm with access to the greatest designers in the world could come up with anything so sloppy. Other features of the car are irritating. There are too many alarms and alerts for just attempting to get in and out of the car, which may get unpleasant over time. The Ford Mustang is a fantastic car to drive in general. Behind the wheel, it provides continual fun and excitement. It's the sort of automobile we'd like to buy and drive on a regular basis.